In 1990, Kmart was bigger than Walmart. Not slightly bigger, significantly bigger. Kmart had more stores, more revenue, more customers, and more brand recognition than any other discount retailer in the United States. Walmart was playing catch-up. By 2002, Kmart filed for bankruptcy. By 2023, 2 Kmart stores remained open in the entire country. Every story about Kmart blames Walmart. Every story blames bad management decisions. Every story blames the internet. None of them tell you about the man who spent a decade stealing from the inside. And none of them tell you about the hedge fund manager who bought what was left and stripped it for parts. This is what actually happened to Kmart. Kmart opened its first store in Garden City, Michigan, in 1962. The concept was simple and powerful. A large discount store with a massive selection at low prices. No frills, no premium experience, just value for ordinary working Americans who wanted to stretch their paycheck. The Blue Light Special became one of the most recognizable moments in American retail. A flashing light, an announcement over the PA, a stampede toward a discounted item. It kept customers in the store. It created excitement out of nothing. It made shopping feel like an event. By 1977, Kmart accounted for nearly all of its parent company's revenue. The company renamed itself the Kmart Corporation. By 1987, Kmart had more than 2,000 stores across America and was the undisputed king of American discount retail. Then the decision started. Through the late 1980s and early 1990s, Kmart went on an acquisition spree. Sports Authority, Office Max, Borders Books, Builders Square. The company spent billions buying businesses outside its core competency, while Walmart was quietly investing every dollar it had into its supply chain and its stores. By the time Kmart realized what Walmart had built, it was already too late to catch up. But that was not the real problem. The real problem was already happening inside the company's own walls. Between the late 1980s and 2000, a Kmart procurement executive named Donald Archie ran a kickback scheme that drained hundreds of millions of dollars from the company. The scheme was straightforward. Suppliers who wanted prominent shelf space at Kmart paid bribes directly to Archie and his associates. The money never went to Kmart. It went into private accounts. Archie and others enriched themselves while the company they worked for was starved of the investment it desperately needed to compete with Walmart. The fraud lasted for years. Millions of dollars that should have funded store renovations, technology upgrades, and supply chain improvements instead disappeared into the pockets of the people responsible for protecting Kmart's interests. When the scheme was finally uncovered, Kmart had already been weakened to the point where recovery was nearly impossible. The stores were outdated. The technology was antiquated. The supply chain was inefficient. Walmart had lapped them entirely. In 2002, Kmart filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, at the time the largest retail bankruptcy in American history. The procurement fraud was not the only cause of the bankruptcy, but it was the accelerant. The company that could have spent a decade investing in itself spent that decade instead funding the retirement of people who were stealing from it. Out of the bankruptcy emerged a man named Edward Lampert. Lampert was a hedge fund manager. He had made his reputation as a value investor, someone who identified companies with undervalued assets and found ways to extract that value. He was not a retailer. He had never run a store. He had never managed inventory or a supply chain or a customer experience. He did not need to. He was not there to run a retailer. In 2004, Lampert engineered a merger between Kmart and Sears, creating Sears Holdings Corporation. On paper, it looked like a rescue. Two struggling retailers combining forces to compete against Walmart and Target. In practice, it was something else. Lampert understood that Kmart and Sears together owned or leased some of the most valuable commercial real estate in the United States. Thousands of store locations in prime suburban locations across the country. The land and the leases were worth more than the retail operations sitting on top of them. His strategy was to extract that value, sell the real estate, spin off the profitable divisions, cut costs relentlessly to generate short-term cash. What a retail company actually needs: investment in stores, in customer experience, in technology, in staff, received almost nothing. Between 2005 and 2018, Sears Holdings closed hundreds of Kmart locations. Each closure freed up real estate value. Each closure also meant more employees losing jobs, more communities losing a store, and more of the remaining customer base finding somewhere else to shop. The stores that stayed open deteriorated. Maintenance budgets were slashed, shelves went unstocked, lighting went unfixed. Staff were cut to levels where a large Kmart store might run an entire department on a single part-time employee. Customers who had shopped at Kmart for decades stopped going. Not because they chose to, because there was nothing left worth going for. In 2018, Sears Holdings filed for bankruptcy. Lampert resigned as chief executive the same day. He had previously purchased the most valuable Kmart and Sears assets through a separate entity he controlled, meaning he personally acquired the best parts of the company he had been paid to run at prices that benefited him rather than the shareholders. By 2023, 2 Kmart stores remained open in the United States, one in Miami, one in Bridgehampton, New York. The Miami store closed in 2023. One store remained. The blue light special, the layaway counter, the smell of the popcorn machine near the entrance, the Saturday afternoon trips that an entire generation of American children took with their parents. Gone. Kmart was not killed by Walmart alone. It was weakened by a decade of internal theft that nobody stopped. Then it was purchased by a man who saw a collection of real estate assets rather than a company worth saving. And it was systematically stripped of everything that might have allowed it to survive. The last Kmart is still open today, technically. But the company that once employed 350,000 people and outsold every retailer in America is not coming back. Attention Kmart shoppers, there are no more announcements. If this story made you angry, subscribe to Buried Brands. A new story every 10 days. Next video coming August 23rd. The story of Kmart is not complicated once you know all of it. A great American retailer was weakened by internal theft that went unchecked for a decade. Then it was acquired by someone who understood its real estate value better than its retail value. Then it was stripped systematically until nothing remained worth keeping. The 350,000 people who worked there at the peak did not fail. The blue light special did not fail. The customers who drove to Kmart every weekend for 30 years did not fail. The people responsible for protecting the company failed them.